Yo, welcome to the Optimized Media Podcast. Today we will be talking about how to set and achieve large goals so that you make progress in what you're doing. We're going to be going over goal setting and execution strategies. We're going to be going over the dopamine trap. We're going to be going over how to set goals so that you get there. And we're talking about how to changing your identity makes you a new person. So we want you by the end of this episode to be able to achieve larger and better goals. And let me think. We have some credibility. I would say, Juwan, what's your what kind of goal? What's your biggest goal that you've set and achieved before?
That's a good question. Let me think about that. I think over the last summer, the previous summer, I set a really crazy ambitious goal. I set a couple of them actually, and one of them was to finish reading 10 books,
Damn.
which in a span of like 2.5 months is kind of crazy for me because I'm not a crazy reader. I don't read books like every week, like every other entrepreneurs does. And I wanted to aim for this goal, big, ambitious goal. How about I just read 10 books for the rest of the summer? But turns out I had a lot of shit going on, but I still managed to read 4 books, I think,
Okay.
which I would take. But a cool thing that I realized was if I hadn't set my goal to a big and ambitious goal to 10 books, if I set my goal, hell, how about I just read, 1 book for this summer? Then I probably would have just read 1 book instead of reading 4. But since I set myself a really big and ambitious goal, I think that's what really fueled me and motivated me. And a lot of um a lot of my goals revolved around academics too, like studying for my SAT, which I did knock it down. In terms of business, working on YouTube and my own work. I worked at the retirement center. Was able to get some money off from that, but big news: I'm not gonna be working there no more. I need some time for myself. Need some time for more YouTube stuff, optimize stuff. So I know you're a big person on goals, on optimalness, and I think we can all agree that setting and achieving goals is a big part to one's success. And what can be, I just want to start with this podcast with the home run. What can be your top 1%, your best goal for the people, your best way in order for people to set goals, to achieve goals, and to even track their own progress?
Let me think about this. Okay. Well, this is not going to be something that um you might think that we're going to talk about because I personally believe that this is more important than any of the other steps like goal setting and execution strategies. I think this is like the level above, and it starts with your thoughts because what you think is what you do, and what you do is your habits, and what your habits is who you are, and who you are is what you become. So it must start with your thoughts, right? But then it goes full circle, and then it goes to who you are, and that's where I think it matters is your identity. Okay, so like imagine you had two students, and they both had terrible grades, and they were both had like C's, B's, whatever. But then they both go throughout school, getting trash grades, and then they get the report cards. They both realize they suck. Student number one, he looks at himself, and he realizes he sucks, but he decides to make a change. He says, "I am an all A student," and he starts creating that to his identity. He tells other people about it. He tells his mom about it. He texts his friends. He tells everyone that I'm an all A student, so that he becomes this person. Everyone thinks of him as an all A student now. But then the other guy, student number two, he doesn't think of him as anything. He doesn't change who he is on the inside, and he just continues doing what he does. He doesn't even set goals at all. He doesn't even change anything. But student number one, he goes throughout the day, and he goes throughout his next life thinking and acting like an all-A student because now he identifies as one. And so he sets goals and he achieves goals to become that all-A student. And so I think it's the most important thing to do is to change your identity so that you can begin to think the thoughts of that identity. So I think right now that anyone listening to this podcast is doing good because they're setting, like, you are a person that is changing your identity by watching something that is optimized related that will get you further in life. And simply by doing that, now you're going to identify as this person and you're going to set and achieve goals that are this person, which is well, I think the next step should be talking about how to set and achieve goals to become this person that they identify as. So, Juwan, would you like to tell us about some goal setting and execution strategies that you think have helped you set and achieve goals?
Yeah, before that, but I just wanted to ask you a quick question. I think it's really interesting what you said. I
Hmm.
actually did watch your video on your Ollie student. I think it went viral. And make sure if you're
Yeah,
watching this, check that out. I really, I can really relate. But for somebody who's, good at setting the great ambitious goals, maybe they set like five great productive goals for the most optimalness.
yeah.
But do you have any advice for how they could just start getting the ball rolling? How they could get over that first difficulty of actually doing it?
Of
A
actually doing it.
big motivation factor. How to start doing and not just having ambitious goals.
Hmm.
Because we definitely struggle with that. Starting off with this, I remember
Yeah,
I used to set these crazy, crazy goals, but I'll never actually do actionable steps to them. I'll never
yeah.
actually track my progress with them. I would say, I'm gonna have six packs by the end of the summer, but I'll never hit abs in the first place. So, how are you gonna get abs if you don't do it in the first place? So, I just want to hear any advice from you.
Okay, well, I think it comes down to two things, right? So, the first thing, it like depends on how big your goal is. Because if you have the goal of like 30 days on NoFap, you're
Right,
not going to really hit that, right? But if you
right,
have the goal on like 30 minutes on NoFap, that might be pretty reasonable for some guys, okay? So it
reasonable.
depends on like if the goal is reasonable for you. And then the second thing is we're going to keep having this example is like you have to start out small. So when I was trying to get off NoFap, when I was trying to get on NoFap, um I started out by like it was no November and I'd failed and it was December now. So I was like, bro, this is terrible, bro. I need to do something. So instead of just like cold turkey stopping because that didn't work during No Nut November, I decided I need to make like a system. I needed to make something that was easy for me to do and was reasonable and started out small. So I started out just like, okay, one day no fap, and then the next day I can go crazy. Okay, and then 2 days no fap. Okay, next day I can have some fun. 3 days no fap. Okay, next day after 3 days I got it. 4 days. Okay, after that I got it. 5 days. 5 days went by. Okay, I got it. 6 days. And then I kept doing that, just like continuously increasing the gap between where it wasn't that hard to fix. And by that time, I had just like completely had the habit of nofap and I was fine. So the two things there are like, one, it has to be reasonable. It can't be so hard that it's like you don't even know what you're doing. It can't be so easy that it's like what the hell is the point of doing this? And then the second thing is just like start out small and create a system to get there. But like I think a lot of it has to do with discipline. Um,
Right.
what do you think about? What do you think?
When you were talking about, slowly going up, I think I could relate to that. It's I think it's referred to as progressive overload in the gym for the lifting nerds. It's
Yeah,
basically constantly getting heavier weights, right? If you start at 20 pounds, then you move up to 25, a couple weeks later, then you go to 30. And that is the great art of progressive overload. You're not ready for it right now, but you will be once you constantly work on it and then you're building up to a certain point. I think that's a really great statement that you said. And on discipline, I think that's the most reliable way of of doing something, of achieving something. Hamza say this. I forgot. I haven't watched him in a minute, but he said something like, "Do it when you feel like it. When you don't feel like it, wait. Do the hard work when you don't feel
Yeah.
like it, right?" And that is
Yeah.
that is basically discipline in a summary. Because all the time I'm not gonna feel like doing something. Like especially when I get a huge assignment. Oh shit, I used to freaking procrastinate on that so hard. But now I understand that, I have to knock it down regardless. So it's gonna be hard right now, but after that, it's gonna get easier and easier. Once you get the ball running, it's gonna keep rolling down. Once you get over that first step, like the first rep of a shoulder press, when you get that dumbbell up, is the hardest for me. And then the second rep is easier. So really about discipline is putting yourself in situations where you get harder and harder and knowing that you're putting through this when you don't feel like it, but then it's gonna get better and better and better and better. I think that's the great art of discipline. And
Mm.
for setting goals and achieving them, that was your initial question. I think we got a little off track, but that was good. I could talk for this whole entire podcast on one thing, but there's obviously different factors, different scopes. But one key thing that has allowed me to set and track this progress and achieve these goals, Cam, I think was just a visual board. As
Mm.
simple as that, just a little whiteboard. That's all I need for setting and achieving goals. Like you see
Wow.
right there, over there. That's my
Yeah.
that's my whiteboard for my goals. I update that every week, every month.
Wow.
Basically, in a nutshell, I have three layers. The
Okay.
first layer is my monthly goals. Basically, for my monthly goals, I set myself in four categories, and the same for my second layer for my weekly goals. The first
Okay.
one is all about fitness, getting my bench up, your squat, maybe you want to get your deadlift up. Then I write whatever I am aiming to achieve by the end of the month. And sometimes I make the mistake of choosing an unrealistic goal, but sometimes I choose it to, just a sweet spot. And I think aiming to just a sweet spot is important. Your goal where it is going to be really difficult to achieve, but still manageable. Like you
Yeah.
probably shouldn't aim to gain 30 pounds on bench in just the span of 1 month. That's actually insane. And the second category that I aim for is my academic. As my student, my main identity has to be a student. So, in order for me to work on a business or be able to read books while I'm in school or be able to be optimal in school, I have to find ways to set goals to be more productive and to achieve more in my academics. And right now, the biggest part for me is SAT. It's a big standardized test that I'm studying for, and that's one of the biggest things that is taking up my academic. But other than that, I
Mm.
don't really have much academic goals. I think just school takes care of itself. I'd be on the grind, right? The
Mhm.
third category I would say would be about business. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have any business where I get profits, really like real business like people think. But I
Yeah.
consider some aspects to be business, like anything that is a side hustle for me. So YouTube right now, basically. But that's another big thing that I haven't been working on. So I definitely should be adding more, actionable steps. I wrote over there that I'm going to work on YouTube Shorts, but I did not. I'm not
Mm.
optimal this week. Definitely need to be held accountable by myself, by Cam, by other people. For the for the fourth category, I'll say Cam. It's really simple. Books. I just
Huh.
set my goals to how many books I want to read. This month, I set 2 books for my goal. I actually did achieve that, so pretty happy about that.
Wow.
I think
Dang.
you know, for if you just study any successful people, they all have a common aspect, and they're all avid readers. Um, Books are valuable, I think. Getting 10 years worth of experience in a matter of just how long does it take for me to read a book? Like 10 hours? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every week, I just set 4 goals that are basically performance goals within that
Mm,
category. So if I'm aiming to get 170 pounds on bench or 2 plates on bench, then I'm going to put as my weekly goal hit 2 times of chest. And that is basically how I track my progress. But the third layer and the deepest layer that I get is my daily goals. Now I
mm,
don't actually set them, but I track them. I have a daily goal journal that I keep with me.
mm.
Have it right here with me on my goals. First thing that I
Wow.
put is out of 1 to 10, how much progress have you made today? And then I would say out of 1 to 10, how much focus did you have today? I would list the things that I do, like did you stick to your regular schedule or did you change some stuff? And then second thing I would do, I would write down the deep work periods that I worked in, really trying to see how much I work per day and really trying to minimize that, especially in schoolwork, while
Yeah.
maximizing how much I could produce, right? I think we talk a lot about that, Cam.
Yeah.
And my third, I think is the most important, is actionable steps that I could actually, get better at least just 1% each day, that I could use this to, learn my mistakes from my failures. And that's really just about it, how I do my goals. I think
Mm.
that I think that visual scoreboard, um, people say, is just really the biggest
Yeah.
aspect for me.
Yeah, I think that just having your goals in like a visual environment where you can see them every day is so important, bro. Like the people that I know that achieve crazy goals or that I've seen review their goals every day. Um, and this is what got me into it. Hamza, like we both know Hamza, but for anyone who doesn't know him, he would send his goals in like community posts or whatever, and he would say like, these are my goals from 3 months ago. I just hit this today, and it would be like on the dot, and he would send those constantly. And I noticed that with myself too. I would have like pretty good goals. I'd have goals that I were not too bad, but like reasonably unreasonable, and I would write them down, and I would look back 3 months later. I'll be like, boom, I've done it. And you see that you actually do, like when you review them every day, you kind of adjust to get there. One thing that I do is I have a goal tracker. So I don't, it's like over there, but I pull it out every night. I track my goals. I have my daily goals, like habit tracking, and then I have my monthly goals. I don't have weekly goals. Um,
How long
just
have you
because
been?
I don't know, man.
How long
I don't
have you been
know.
doing your habit tracker?
Oh, my habit tracker. Well, I recently made one because I had gotten off of habit tracking for like 2 years. But before 2 years, I had habit tracked, and it would be like a nice habit tracking app. It would make me easily get into habits, easily break
Hmm.
habits, whatever. It would be good. But then I got to a point where I'm like, oh, I don't need this anymore. I'm too good for that. And
Yeah.
then I noticed that I was kind of falling off recently, like maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. I wasn't doing just the basics, so I decided I needed to do this again. And I knew like bro, like the starter habit trackers are like workout, do schoolwork, get homework done, like basic stuff, right? But I already had I didn't need it anymore because I checked, like it would just be a full of checks every day. It was just habit for me. But I realized that there were things that I wanted to become habits that wouldn't be all checks. Like let's say just like appreciate a random person, right? Or just
Hmm.
like someone in my day. I wanted to add that to my thing, so I just said like new habit tracker, put that in there. And then it would be like, oh, I do want to add this habit into there. Boom, put that in there. So it's really like habit tracking, I used to think was for basic individuals that were just getting onto self improvement. But I realized that even now, as a person who's been on self improvement, optimizing myself for like 2.5 years, um, it's still very important. It's just at a higher level. So it's just like the constant basic feedback loop that you should be doing. But I do want to ask you though, because this is kind of related to accountability, like the habit tracking and stuff. Do you think that it's important to have someone keeping you accountable? to achieve your goals?
I think accountability is a big portion to goal setting and achieving your goals and really just maintaining progress, right? Yeah, but me personally, I don't really have any well, I do have accountability, but I don't really do accountability with any other people. I think the biggest accountability for me, and this could vary from person to person, is just myself. I see that board every single day, and I'm held accountable every single night by myself. I think that's the biggest accountability partner you have, up to a certain point. But if you are starting out, you definitely should have an accountability. I remember when I was first starting NoFap, I had the freaking biggest accountability partner, and it was actually a pastor. Every time I was
Wow.
every time I was struggling, I would call him up and I would tell what's happening. I need some help.
Yeah.
I hope you're with me, and I think that's really what has set me far to where I'm at right now.
Wow. Dang.
But talking about your habit tracker and accountability, can you share some goals or the habits that are on your habit tracker?
I'll pull it out. Let me get it. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah, I remember watching Hamza's video, and this guy would preach about habit trackers. And same with you. Literally, like 2 years ago, I would do habit trackers. I would have like six
Yeah.
habits on the habit trackers. I would literally tape them on my wall. But then I'm at to this point where I can only use the whiteboard, and I'm fine. But I'm considering it when I'm listening to you.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like just stuff that I wasn't very good with. So the first one is eat 3,850 calories, just because I would have a hard time doing that.
Holy shit!
And I would like, because dude, I would be bulking and then I would add calories and then I still wouldn't gain weight. And then I added calories again
Holy
and I
cow!
added calories again and I still didn't gain weight. So I'm here eating 3,800 calories. That has mostly checks. The second one is do physical therapy just because I'm always injured. So I just kind of like do this like nightly routine. Um, I didn't do this before, but when I put this on there, I'm like, damn, I really need to do that if I want to lock in and be good for winter track. So this is kind of motivating me to do that. Third one is eat lunch with Optimize, just because like sometimes I'll eat lunch just like randomly, but I want to eat lunch with the people that I want to talk to and like just like grow my relationship with the people that I'll be spending time with, and that's like optimized stuff, like like the people on the optimized board basically. So I'm just trying to like make sure I'm building a relationship with them. Be honest, just because I saw in a
Wow.
Hamza video that people appreciated his honesty when he was in university, because he would just be like, he would either be like, I'm not gonna hang out with you, or you're a badass, bro, or he'd just be like, go up to a girl and be like, you're cute. I was like, I want to be more honest, so I put that on there. That's not as like
Wow.
thing. That's not as habited, not as checked. We got appreciate someone on there, just because I want to be a more appreciating and loving individual. That's not as good because I don't explicitly say it as much. Sometimes I'll check it if I'm kind of like BSing myself, like, oh yeah, I did something with this guy today, and he probably appreciated that. Um, so yeah, and then I got message clients just because I'm trying to get into coaching. So
Nice.
I just want to message them every day, try to just make sure they're doing good. Almost they barely respond because they're doing it for free. But yeah, I'm just trying to get into that. But all
All
these
right.
habits they align to one of my monthly goals. Maybe you
Nice.
want me to tell you some monthly goals?
I'm down. I'm down for it, man. Anything.
Okay, so I got wealth, health, and mind, and school, and these also have like relationship stuff in there. But I didn't really have a specific session for that. So my wealth one, I have like a big title and then mini titles to go along with it. So my wealth one was make my first sale, and I ended up doing that $1 coaching call with my friend. Let's
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
Let's
$1,
go.
baby.
Oh.
Entrepreneur.
Hey, passive income. Passive income. You're making money while you sleep.
No, that was active. That was extremely active.
Hey, just say passive, bro.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Passive, passive. Okay, and then one of the sub goals, script so good that I get comments saying, "Wow, you're good." And then that happened on my video with
Which
the
one
that
was
got
that?
4K views. Let's go.
Let's go. Wait, which one was that?
Let's
Was that?
go.
Okay, I know
It
two
was,
videos that went viral, I think. I'm
dude, yeah. And then the video I
um
just posted yesterday got 30 views.
no, you had a really recent one that was really good. I didn't have time to
Yeah,
watch it, but it was about academics.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That one was really good.
I
People
think
were
that script
commenting on
was
that.
insane too.
Yeah, yeah. That was the one. That was the script one that I was very proud of.
Yes, bro.
Let me see. Get 50 qualified leads into my coaching server. I did not get 50, but I got like 5, and
Hey,
none of them wanted coaching. So, but at least they were into my server. That was the goal. So let's go.
let's
5 out of
go.
50. I did not achieve that goal. Did not achieve that goal. Um, Hang out with the board 2 times. Quality, as in like go out and have fun. Um, did that I think once, bro. I was like planning to go to the gym, and I would always be like, "I'll do it next week." I just need to have, bro. Like this is one of those things that I didn't make it specific enough. I didn't go deeper into detail, so I didn't get the goal. So next month, I'm gonna have to make monthly goals for this month because it just hit October. I'll have to like make it more specific next time, and then yeah, basically my other one's like feel like a god. It's like just like feel like a god, make sure I'm doing good. One of my goals was actually experiment with sleep, and that got me to start waking up at 5 a.m. and I kept that afterwards. So because of these goals, I'm changing my life. Um,
Disciplined.
yeah, all this stuff. Yeah, that's basically like a rundown. But all these goals are just like going toward my larger goals of becoming the ultimate person that I want to become, and that's perfect.
It's like a smaller scope, and then you got the bigger picture, right?
Facts.
You got the long term goals, and then you got the short term goals. Um, but another interesting thing that I have when I'm achieving these goals, not when I'm setting them, is I hear people say reward yourself when you achieve these goals, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you get abs, go out and have some ice cream, But
Ooh.
I'm like, these rewards, I think the best reward out of all these rewards has to be just the feeling itself of accomplishing.
Facts.
I think that is by far the best feeling that I get after achieving a goal, the dopamine rush. And talking about dopamine rush, I really want to talk about this one interesting myth that people do not know, but that can
Facts.
actually backfire on you. I
Wow.
was watching Andrew Huberman's podcast on setting goals and achieving goals. But one big thing that he was talking about is when before somebody starts a crazy, or like maybe it's a small goal or maybe it's an ambitious goal, but
Yeah.
before a person sets their goals, they're like, oh yeah, from now on, it's New Year's Eve, and then tomorrow is the New Year, so I'm gonna go to the gym every single fucking day, bro. No rest day, no rest day. Oh God, and
Let's go.
you just see them fall off.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
the myth in here is that the truth is that before you initiate your action, before you take some steps, if you tell somebody before that of your goal, then there is actually, like, it's scientifically proven it's scientifically proven that you get a dopamine rush that you're supposed to get after achieving a goal.
Wow.
So let's say your goal is to hit the gym 5 times a week for the next year. Okay, the New Year's Eve, New Year's resolutions, whatever that shit is. After the person has actually done that, the dopamine. If people say their goal and they tell other people before they actually go to the gym, before they actually initiate their action,
Yeah.
in their brain, in their nervous system, they get a rush of dopamine that is that they're supposed to get after they achieved the goal itself. I just found that crazy.
Yeah.
I see so
That's
many people doing it,
crazy.
especially me too back in the days. If I had known that before, I think would have been really useful. So the key lesson to that is to not tell other people or don't tell anybody about what you're aiming for before you have initiated your action. If you
Mhm.
if you have to, if it's mandatory, like let's say you have to record YouTube videos, that's your goal, then you might have to tell other people in your house that you're doing so that you get your privacy. If it's not like mandatory like that, then you should probably keep it to yourself. And after you have done some type of action, to share them about your goal. That's just a big lesson
Yeah,
that I hoped I could have got before.
yeah, me too, me too. But the funniest thing is, okay, I want to wrap this up real quick because my phone's at 2%. But I will say that that thing is kind of funny because like when you see it on a lower level, when you see it when there's no stakes involved to the person, that that happens. But I think what happens if there really is stakes involved is there's this guy named Naval Ravikant, you know him?
I do not know.
It's this like millionaire entrepreneur guy. Oh shoot, my phone's at 1%. Okay, maybe we'll talk about it another episode, but my phone's about to die and I can't plug it in. So, any final notes, Juwan, that you would
Yeah,
say
man.
you want to leave someone with?
Just a quick note, first figure out what type of goal you want to pursue, then find out your actionable steps. Thirdly, track your progress and then stay accountable. Accountable with other people, accountable with yourself, and actually start achieving the goals. And remember the myth of not telling other people your goal before you initiate some type of action. Thank you for watching the video.
Exactly.
Cam, with any final notes?
Um, just remember, of course, to be optimal.
Be optimal. That was hype.
Set some goals.
Dude, your phone is actually dead. Okay.